1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is February the 15th, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Happy Monday, Carl.
It's a great day, Nick. We got, I think in Canada and the US, most people had today off. And so it was a nice day to relax and just enjoy the cold of winter.
Enjoy the cold of winter? Are you crazy?
That's how we're all feeling right now, right?
Yeah, I'm ready for summer.
Well, you know what? So you did get something you wanted, though. You wanted a trade, and you got a trade. Not only one, you got 2 trades this week.
It's true. You know what's funny, though? I thought I dreamt it, the trade happening. And I'll tell you why, okay? Because this first Ottawa-Carolina trade, the Hurricanes sent the Senators Ryan Dzingel. The guy just can't avoid Ottawa for some reason.
Yep.
And in return, they got Alex Galchenyuk and Cedric Paquette. And that happened a few days ago. This afternoon, I was thinking about us recording the show and talking about this trade. So I went on The Athletic to read the breakdown of the trade and why it works for each team. I checked the Sens feed, nothing. I checked the Hurricanes feed, nothing. I checked the NHL League feed, nothing. I was like, did this trade not happen? How has The Athletic not covered this trade? So I thought I went crazy. And then I get the notification that the Leafs traded for Galchenyuk. And I was like, okay, then the first trade definitely happened.
Yeah, so that one definitely, you can now confirm that happened. Poor Alex Galchenyuk. I mean, is it poor Alex Galchenyuk? He doesn't really have much say in where he plays anymore.
I hope he didn't cross the border.
No, he didn't.
Okay, good. Because I know they waived him, but they must have said to him, stay put, we're working on something.
Yeah. I do know they did leave him there and told him to wait. And I think the rumor was, because I saw, I did see talk that he was rumored to be going to a Canadian team. So luckily, doesn't have to quarantine. He can just head from Toronto to Ottawa, or other way around, Ottawa to Toronto. Super easy for him.
Ryan Dzingel, on the other hand, he's got to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
according to the new rules, he has to pay for his own hotel room.
Which is $2,000. At least out here, that's what the going rate is in a COVID hotel, is $2,000.
Well, Eugene Melnick's not going to cover that.
Yeah.
An out-of-pocket expense.
Yeah. But I mean, so Alex Galchenyuk going all the way from, I think we've known for some time that he is not going to live up to his draft capital, right? 3rd overall pick. Now, essentially just the contract nobody wants.
I know, but he could still be a productive middle 6 player on a team. He's not making a ton of money, is he?
No, not on his new deal that he signed this offseason.
I'm kind of surprised the Hurricanes didn't want him. I mean, they have a ton of offensive power, but for that amount of money, he's, most recently, last season he didn't do as well as he did half the amount of points than he normally would have. But he's still good for over 40 points.
I mean, and he's $1 million player, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little surprised by how nobody wants him, but.
Hey, you say he's a 40-point player. Without looking, he's what? He's played 8 games, 40-point player. That would be over under 4 points for Alex Galchenyuk so far this season.
I'm going to say right on.
It is under. He has 1 goal, 0 assists so far this season.
Woof.
So,
but he was playing for Ottawa. How many total goals does that team have?
Well, and he was, on average, again, there's not much time. He was barely getting any ice time in Ottawa, right? 9 minutes a game. And this is a guy that I think moving to a Leafs team where we've kind of seen them, and we'll talk about this later, but we've seen them like kind of rotate guys in and out of that lineup from taxi squad and from all these different places. He's a guy that you'll be able to get through waivers if need be, and it'll be fine for him. Yeah,
I think so too. I think the Leafs will get some good use out of him. I don't think he'll be a star player by any means, but he'll be fine.
I also don't think he's a 40-point player anymore, but
last season was the first year he didn't hit 40 points.
Well, and now he's currently on pace for like a 10-point season. So 10 points if you played all 80. He's on pace for 7. He's going to
fair. So, we'll see what he can do if he can get those extra 6 minutes of ice time again.
Yeah, let's get him some of those. All right. Probably the biggest news of this week was the Pittsburgh Penguins made a decision. We talked last week about, was it last week? Yeah, we talked about their general manager hunt, and their general manager hunt came to an end this week as they announced Ron Hextall as the new general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. An interesting choice, as he was just last hired as the general manager of rival Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, who, by the way, had to stop playing games because of COVID this week.
But
anyways,
you had the inside tip on that last week.
I did. I don't know where I got that from. I just saw a random tweet. But anyways, I think it was out of an abundance of caution. But anyways, Ron Hextall, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh must be looking like far ahead, eh? Like they must be planning for the future. Because isn't Ron Hextall a draft and develop kind of GM?
Oh, yeah.
And Pittsburgh, you tell me what you think. I think Pittsburgh still got a chance here of being a competitive team in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah. I watched, what day was that? Sunday. Watched Washington, Pittsburgh. And it was a competitive game. Like, they were in it the entire time. They ended up winning that game 6-3. And granted, like, the only team in that division with worse goaltending right now than Pittsburgh is Washington. So take that what it is. But they played well. They didn't just win because Washington was letting in a ton of goals. They played a good game, and absolutely, I think. I mean, I would still pick them right now to make the playoffs. Where are they in the old stand? Right now, they're right on the bubble, tied with Washington for that last spot. So, I would pick them to be probably fighting with Washington right on that bubble as a playoff team. Absolutely.
I would think so too. And I think it's kind of an interesting choice that they made to go with somebody who's known for the kind of draft and development way of managing a team. Like it's almost like they know they're heading into rebuild phase. So, it'll be interesting to see what Hextall does, if anything, to extend this window that they're in. Because Rutherford did a lot to extend this window. Every year, felt like every quarter of the calendar year, this guy was wheeling and dealing to keep that window open.
Yeah. He was, that was what his shtick was, right? Draft picks gone all over the place. First round picks were candy for him. He was just handing them out. So it will be a different approach. And I think it's a smart approach.
I think so too. I mean, now's the time to do it, I think. Before you get too void of draft picks. But I don't know. I'm interested to see if Hextall does anything about the goaltending situation. That seems to me like the only area you would want to play with to see if you can extend that window. Outside of that, you just kind of let it happen, right?
And I think there will be some guys available at the deadline of some of these bottom teams, and probably pretty cheap as well. I'm thinking, and like not guys that I'd be excited about, right? Like I looked to Devin Dubnyk in San Jose, like a guy that was just moved, has salary retained, is an easy piece to fit in under the cap in Pittsburgh. Not going to excite you, but a more known quantity than Tristan Jarry's and Casey DeSmith have been.
But I really think the team's going to have to play themselves into that position. Like they're going to have to force him to go and acquire somebody at the deadline to get them into and through the playoffs. Because if they're not looking like a playoff team at the deadline, he may just turn around and be like, okay, who can we move out of here and acquire some draft capital for?
Yeah, well, and there are. So if you look at their team, right, free agent wise, right, Cody Ceci just brought in. Colin Sevier, who really cares? But like some of these other guys, Jason Zucker, definitely would be able to get something for him. And if you're in rebuild mode, those extra 2 years on him is going to get you something bigger than what you would get from him otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
Some of these other, right? Brian Rust, another piece that you could look at moving. And then, some of these other longer term defensemen like Michael Matheson and John Marino, probably just going to hold on to those.
Yeah, I would think so. Who is John Marino? What? Why does this guy have so much money on the cap?
Well, I mean, don't you want to sign John Marino, the guy from an ELC, to just a 6 by 4.4 deal? No, you don't want that?
I've never heard this name before. It's a great hockey name, though.
It's a solid name. Less solid on the ice, though, unfortunately.
John Marino. Okay, don't open it. Where do you think he's from? This is an easy one.
America?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he's from the most America sounding town, Brockton, Massachusetts.
Ooh, I would have gone with Wisconsin as his home state, so I messed that one up. Missed that a little bit, but yeah. Again, don't know why that deal was handed out, but it was. So here we are.
He might be able to do.
The other interesting piece with this, though, is that Pittsburgh also brought in, at kind of a joint announcement, they also hired a president of hockey operations, Brian Burke.
Oh, really? Somehow I missed that news. Sportsnet didn't cover it this week.
You might have missed their grumpy old man leaving this week. Soon to be replaced with another grumpy old man, probably. Oh,
I'm sure he will be. He must have given... It's just so funny. He was on Hockey Night in Canada this week, so he must have given his 2 weeks. Like, he still has to work the last 2 weeks.
I think this was his last episode, so I think he's done now.
He's done. Well, yeah, he's in Pittsburgh now at games with Hextall, and you know what he brought back, Carl? The old tie look. The one that Sportsnet said, no, you can't do that anymore. Yeah, he brought it back.
Yeah, you know that's what he wanted all along. It looks like he never left. Just a little bit whiter.
Mario Lemieux's like, Brian, will you come work for us? He's like, can I wear the tie? Yeah, you can wear a tie. Can it be undone? Sure, it can be undone. All right, I'll be there on Monday.
Like, so seeing him multiple times a week talking on Sportsnet and getting his thoughts, he is still one who's very much the proponent of like playing heavy hockey, right? Yeah. He was like that when he was a general manager before. He still is. And like bringing that approach to Pittsburgh, what are your thoughts on this team transitioning into being that heavy hockey team?
I mean, we might have to open that trade conversation again. Because I don't think this team as it stands has that.
No, not in no way.
So, I don't know. They might have to go out and make some moves if that's the kind of team that they want to ice.
Well, that's an easy quote unquote change to make, right? Because you can bring in some bottom six guys to fill those roles.
Sure.
Like we saw in the same way Toronto tried to do this offseason, right? They were like, let's fill some of those like spots we have with like a Wayne Simmons, some of those pieces like that. They're pretty cheap. Because they're not as wanted. For a weird reason. I don't know why no one wants them on their team anymore, but hey, someone will, and apparently that's going to be Pittsburgh now. So
it'll be interesting to see if they actually go that route. I don't know. Like in the Eastern Conference, is that really the kind of hockey that's played? To me, the like heavy hitting, big tough hockey is very much more the Western Conference style.
Sort of. But like if you look at those teams, so if you were to for example, the top two teams right now, like odds wise and most people's favorites to win the West and come out of the West are Colorado and Vegas. And you look at those teams and they're not particularly, Colorado especially is not a particularly heavy team. Vegas has some players that are, but stylistically, I mean, they play really good shutdown, but that doesn't mean they're a heavy team. And
I mean, yeah. And now that I think about it, you think about Tampa and they went and bulked up a little bit to play more of that style, right? So yeah, I'm okay being wrong about that one. You've talked me out of it.
Okay. But it's an easy thing to add to your team if you want that, right?
For sure.
And you meet with the coaches and see how you're going to use those guys. And I mean, I don't hate the idea of having some of that on your team. There's a place for it, but I don't think that it's like the new meta.
No, I don't think so either. Although I am looking forward to a lot more media leaks coming out of Pittsburgh now.
Because we saw out of nowhere the Toronto trade today. Toronto trades just come out of nowhere all the time.
That's right.
Once Brian Burke left.
That's right. You know what, though? The Sportsnet thing was really good for him. I quite like the guy now.
He was good at that. And I mean, I'll be interested to see, because I have not seen, they haven't announced who's replacing him, have they?
They have not, no. No, they haven't. I don't know who are you going to go get? An ex-coach? Bring Mike Babcock over back to Toronto?
From NBC? Just one game. I mean, that does make sense for Sportsnet to just recycle old Toronto Maple Leaf people.
It would be so on brand.
Yeah. You're right. That's what it's going to be. And I don't like it already. Great. Well, had a good run, Sportsnet. The draft lottery. Last week we briefly mentioned the fact that they are exploring the idea of even just like canceling this year's draft entirely and moving it to next year because there's not been much junior hockey. No international scouting per se, right? You're just watching guys on whatever feed you can maybe find. But when the draft does happen, and if it does happen this year, there is talk of changing the draft lottery format.
I mean, look, as a fan of the Detroit Red Wings, obviously I'm happy about this. This benefits my team immensely if they make changes. Now, we don't know what changes they're going to make.
Because, right, it's just been rumored. There hasn't even been like ideas. But the thought is that the league does not like the fact that the Rangers jumped up twice in the last year, big amounts, to get Capo Caco last year at 2 and Alexis Lafreniere the year after that at number 1. So, I mean, we could call it the Rangers rule. We could call it the woe is Detroit. They were supposed to win. They were miserable and they ended up picking 4th rule. Whichever way you want to label it.
And it's just great because there's these managers from other teams coming out now and they're like, we don't like the way that Detroit fell last year. We don't like it. Now, last year was a very painful year for the Red Wings. Like historically bad. But remember when the Avalanche had that historically bad season and they fell to 4th?
I was literally just like, I think that year the Avalanche were worse. Were they not?
They were worse. They were worse. And no managers for any teams or league executives came out and said, wow, we really felt bad about how the Avalanche fell out of the top 3 last year, so let's make some changes.
Yeah, come on.
But no, we feel really bad for the team who's had a quarter century of success in the playoffs. It's not right.
You missed the playoffs for a little bit. You finally get a top pick and they're like, oh, well, they didn't get it? Suck it up.
We should make changes. But there was some interesting format ideas that I'd like to get your thoughts on.
Do tell.
Okay, so one is, the simplest one is just increase the odds for the last place team, decrease the odds for everyone else.
Right. Or like limit the amount that you can jump up, right? Like you can only jump up 2 spots.
The next one is, yeah, exactly. The next one is, you cannot fall out of the top 3.
Okay, so then...
The last place team can't fall out of the top 3.
Okay. So then are you only drawing 2 teams' names then? Is that what you're doing for that?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if they started to go into those details.
I'm fine. I mean, whatever.
I actually kind of like that idea. The other one I heard was a team can't jump into the top 3 2 years in a row.
I like that one better. Because it takes kind of that randomness out of it, right? Like, you're not giving that unnecessary benefit to a team that's not actually that bad, like the Rangers, 2 times. I like that. That's out of those changes you mentioned, I like that one the best.
I think so too, and I think it's the one that teams are most likely to get on board with.
I think so, because there were changes made quite recently because teams were super upset with the way that we saw blatant tanking from teams like the Sabres and Oilers so that they could get that. And so we literally just de-incentivized? Is that the word I'm looking for? Okay.
I don't know if it's a word, but I know what you mean.
Okay, thank you.
And everyone else does too.
Perfect. We just did that so that teams wouldn't want to finish first, or so that there's less benefit for finishing first. If we're now just going to increase the odds or make it so that first can't drop into the 3, we're going to get back to that, especially if you're at that point. Like, I can see more teams being more okay being bad when there's more of a benefit for being awful.
Yeah, totally agree. Which is why I don't like the next proposed one, which is only the teams who miss the playoffs participate in the lottery.
That is the rule right now, isn't it?
No, if you make the playoffs, you still get odds. Do you not?
No. If you don't make the playoffs, you're not
in the playoffs, you're not in the lottery.
Correct.
Oh man, I did not know that. Let's just cut this part out.
That sounds like editing work, and our editing intern gave him the day off too. So
yeah, all right, fair enough. Okay, so I did not know that.
But I guess perhaps it would be a situation where if you've traded for a pick and you're in the playoffs, maybe that's what they're getting at with that idea.
Maybe.
But as of right now, if you are in the playoffs, like the only teams in it are the 15 teams, soon to be 16 that miss the playoffs.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Obviously, I didn't read further beyond that one headline. Here's the other one that was not. This is just fan speculation every year. When you get eliminated for the playoffs, you start accumulating points with every game that you win towards the first overall pick.
I love the idea of making you earn that pick. Because what I like about it is 2 things. One, it makes you still play hard and care as an organization, but it also still, like, if you get eliminated first, then you have more time to accrue those points. So it still benefits those teams that are truly terrible while also not making the end of their season completely meaningless.
I don't know why the league wouldn't consider that. It's so much fun. It's like maximum fun for something like this.
I think the biggest reason why is because it would be very difficult for fans to fully understand what's going on. I mean, some fans don't even know who is and isn't in the draft lottery.
Yeah, it's not like this way's any simpler.
Fair.
The percentages change every couple years.
I think of, it's a little different, but NASCAR previously changed their scoring system, probably like 5-10 years back, to make like their long-standing system just like each position's worth a point, because it was too complicated for fans to fully understand all of like the different changes and different things going on. I can imagine that would be a similar issue of like fans don't fully know what's happening and trying to keep track of 2 sets of standings. I think that would probably be the biggest reason why not.
I guess so for casual fans. I don't think it's that hard to pick up, though. I don't know. The people who really, really care about their team and the draft lottery and follow the draft and follow the prospects, it's not that hard once you just start following it. But I get that casual fans probably wouldn't follow it, but they probably don't follow it now.
That's true. And I do like the idea because, I mean, no league does something like that right now. And the NHL, as much as I am critical of the league in so many ways, they have not been afraid to take like a new and unique approach to making things different. And so I could see them being the first league to try something like that. And probably, I mean, would be a great way to incentivize all teams.
Yeah, I agree. That's the most fun way. I think that's what they should do. They won't. All they're going to say is you can't get a top 3 pick 2 years in a row, which is okay too.
Or I'm also okay with like some sort of tournament at the same time as playoffs, right? Like a loser pool.
I love that. That I think is even less likely than the accumulating of points once you get eliminated.
Yes.
But that would be so much fun.
Yeah. And again, because that would be hard because you'd need to because then the good teams are going to win that. So how do you make it so that maybe you just make it so that the team that loses, right? Instead of win and you move on, losers move on. And we're just going to have just the worst hockey played imaginable in that final game. How would you do that? So let's say you had a loser take all game where it would be there, but the NHL would like severely penalize you if it looked like you were blatantly cheating in trying not to win.
How do you measure that though?
How you couldn't pull that off, could you? Like to have a loser take all, loser of this game gets first overall pick. That's not possible, is it?
No.
Because you would pull the goalie immediately. You'd be playing with 6 skaters out there. Right? That's the strat.
Yeah, just empty net.
And it's all forwards. You play with 6 forwards.
Or sub in that cardboard goalie that they keep in the Zamboni tunnel. You know, the one that has that hooks onto each post?
The old shooter tutor.
The shooter tutor, that's right.
Or another idea, all player coaches, except there's the coaching staff goes out on the ice.
Just swap the coaching staff for the player leadership team. So the captains and alternate captains have to coach the team and the coaching staff has to play.
I like this. I like this a lot.
Oh, I would watch that.
I mean, you know that the Hurricanes with Rod Brindamore would still be able to slay out there. Like, that would be unfair.
Of course.
But some of these other ones be a disaster.
Rod Brindamore would kick so much butt out on that ice.
How many... You know he's going to be headhunting that other coach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I saw... Speaking of that, and we'll move on to our next topic here in a sec. I was watching while waiting for games and things to happen on, I think it was Sunday again. TSN, I believe, was showing like fan interaction, like top fan interactions, those stupid shows that they always put out.
Yeah.
And one of them was like fans on the field. And it was like, I want to say 80s, because they were still not, I don't think they were wearing helmets. Anyways, this fan got on the ice of a game. And from like center ice, it was the biggest charging penalty I've ever seen. But the linesman just skates full speed, boards the guy. Like, he's not wearing any equipment, and he just ragdolls right into the board. Have you seen that clip?
I think I've seen that. I've seen it.
I'm not sure I'd seen that, and it was amazing. Like, look, I'm not for, hits that hurt. However, if I were to, that was the one.
It's so crazy because back then, like, the glass was short. There was no netting protecting the fans.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy to just get out onto the ice. You'd have to be crazy.
Yeah.
But it would be easy to do.
Yeah. I mean, you're now standing out on ice in shoes with guys who are wearing skates literally designed to be on it, wearing equipment designed to hit people, and you are in street clothes.
Then you get taken out by the linesman. Not even the referee, like the linesman.
It could have been the ref. They were wearing stripes. Either way.
In the 80s, it was more likely going to be the linesman because there's only one referee.
That's what I had assumed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And either way, it was a great hit and a great moment.
It was a good hit.
It was sign that guy, right? He should be out there for the next game.
Yeah, he can go play for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. All right. We are approximately, depending on which team you're looking at, right? Some teams have played 7-8 games. Some teams have played 15-16. We actually had, I don't know if you saw, we had a surprise cancellation today.
I didn't see that.
As winter storms, in Calgary, it hit -40 this week, did not hamper gameplay, but Dallas is having a winter storm rolling through Texas, has knocked out power, and they said originally the original plan was for them to minimize power at the stadium so that they could still play the game without hampering surrounding areas. They ended up canceling the game for the storm, not for that. However, yet another Dallas Stars game canceled. So, we got teams like Dallas that have played only 8 or 12 games. We have some teams like Columbus that have played 16. We've got, the entire North Division has played 14 plus. Vancouver, 18 games. So we're approximately a quarter of the way through this season, depending on which way you look at it. And so on a normal year, this is kind of when you start to get a sense of who is and isn't good. So let's play a little round of buy and sell. Buys or sells.
I'm buying. Let's do it.
Starting with, last week we talked about the Canucks, a team in the North that were doing terribly. Do you buy, on the other hand, the 9-4-2 Montreal Canadiens?
No, I don't. I'm selling. Somehow we talk about this every week. I'm selling. They're better than they think they are. No, they think they're better than they are.
Okay. So, because we've got kind of across the board, we've got Tyler Toffoli still on a point-a-game pace. Jeff Petrie on a point-a-game pace. Carey Price doing actually, just okay. He's, he had some good games against the Leafs this week.
Yeah, he looked good this week.
But outside of that, this team has just outscored the opposition, and he hasn't really had to be the Carey Price that they're paying, $9 million a year for. This is a team that I haven't believed in, but the more they do it, I feel like I have to. At least for this year.
We'll talk again at the halfway mark. I'm still, they're a playoff team in this division.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask then. If you thought they were a playoff team.
I think they're a playoff team in this division.
Because, they're going to be fighting Winnipeg, Calgary, and Vancouver for the last 2 spots in this division. 1 spot. Those 4 teams will have 2 spots.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes down to it, at the end of the season, we'll see Montreal fighting for that last spot.
So you think Edmonton over Montreal at the end of the year?
Yes. Okay.
Calgary over Montreal at the end of the year?
Probably, yeah.
Winnipeg.
That's where it starts to get dicey.
Vancouver?
Still eating those words from our season preview.
So, we're both eating the words we said on Montreal. So you're thinking Montreal, Winnipeg, Vancouver fighting for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I don't even know how much Vancouver will be part of that fight, but yeah.
We'll let them partake. Why not? All right. Do you got a buy and sell from?
I've got one. Okay. The Vegas Golden Knights, Marc-Andre Fleury, 8 games played, 7-1-0, 2 shutouts, .944 save percentage. You buying this?
I mean, just those numbers you gave are like Vezina level play. And after watching Marc-Andre Fleury get one of those shutouts yesterday against the Colorado Avalanche, I am not going to buy that Marc-Andre Fleury is a Vezina candidate for this year. That team in front of him is really good. And like they play so well defensively. Even the Avs were out shooting them. And like it felt like you could feel that they were out shooting them, but it never felt like there were chances on him. So many of those shots were taken from like safe areas. And it just got to that point where you get into the game and you're like, I just have to shoot from anywhere and hope that something goes in. And so that was kind of what it felt like. They do such a good job in front of him, taking away some of those high scoring chances. They get in the lanes super well. And like offensively, like the forwards coming back, their back check is really strong. I mean, he's doing what he needs to, but it's not because of him that he's putting up those numbers.
That was a surprisingly good analysis for how little advance notice you had about that.
I mean, I watched 60 minutes of it just yesterday.
That was really good.
Are you buying it?
No.
Now that you've heard the advanced analysis.
No, I'm not buying it. I wasn't buying it before your advanced analysis, but that just sealed the deal for me.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Buy or sell on the other side of it. Buy or sell. Ooh, buy or sell Joe Pavelski. Joe Pavelski with him of 9 goals and 8 points through 12 games.
I really like Joe Pavelski, but at this point in his career, I'm selling. I'm not buying this. Like, you look at you look at him last season. He's on pace to blow last season's numbers out of the water.
Yeah.
He's also averaging 4 more minutes of ice time than he was last year. Now, the Stars have had some injuries to some very important players on their roster.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they're all back yet. I know some of them are.
Jamie Benn is back.
Tyler Seguin is not.
Yeah, he is actually. Jamie Benn has scored 3 goals. He's currently sitting at 303. Still, what's that now? 13 back of us, I believe.
Yeah, amateur numbers. I think that Seguin comes back and he starts eating into Pavelski's ice time. I don't see Pavelski sustaining it.
All right, so he's currently at 9 goals. Through 8, they've got
7 of them came on the power play.
Correct. And that's a ton. And 4 assists on the power play. 11 of his 17 points have come on the power play.
Yeah.
Jiminy Crickets, Nick.
And I would assume he plays net front.
Yeah, he does. So if let's say they're playing 56 games, he's on pace for 42 goals. His career high is 41 in an 82 game season, which would put him at 28 goals this year. Over under 28 goals for Joe Pavelski.
Under.
Do you think he'll have less than 19 the rest of the way?
Yeah.
Over under 25.
Probably under still.
22.
Probably under. I've set my mind at 20.
See, if you had told me at the start of the year what I thought Joe Pavelski would have, I would have said like a normal season would have been like a 25 goals would have been probably what I picked.
Sure.
30 would have been like dream scenario. And 25 is only 17. So he's literally halfway to that mark right now. I think for sure he'll hit 20. I think that would be kind of where I'd be looking at him to kind of hit, especially when, like you said, Tyler Seguin back, and they are expecting him back at some point this year. So certainly not going to be gone forever.
That 41 goal season you mentioned was like 7 years ago. He was a 29-year-old when he scored that many goals. He's now 36.
Correct. Yeah, but like he's not that far from a 30-goal season.
That's a lot of power plays that the Dallas Stars have to get.
Well, they're getting them.
That's because their division sucks.
And that's without them playing against Vancouver and Montreal, who are the top two. Right, the North Division is where you get power play goals.
Yeah.
All right, do you got one more buy and sell for us?
I got one more. The North Division, COVID-free.
Ooh.
You buying or selling?
So what are we counting as COVID-free? No games missed?
No team games missed. No team games postponed or canceled.
No games postponed or canceled. I gotta say, this week they had a game pushed back an hour, right? That Habs Oilers game was pushed back an hour. Jesse Puljujarvi was, I believe, the only one who even ended up on the COVID list for the Oilers. And today, I think he came off. The teams have shown that they're able to do it, but it's such a slippery slope. I gotta say, and Canadian vaccinations are lagging behind what we've seen south of the border.
Oh, we're not diving into that one.
No, I was just saying numbers wise, right? Not getting into any of that, but I think we'll see a longer term issue for it in Canada than we will south. So I will say I am going to sell, whichever one means that I think there will be at least one game missed. I'm picking that one.
I'm buying this one.
Really?
I don't think we're going to miss any games.
Wow. I mean, I hope that's true.
I think we're so close. Like it's like the light at the end of this tunnel is getting bigger and bigger every week that passes. Mm-hmm. And if they've been able to hold steady through right now, which I think is the worst of it and the thick of it, if they can get through the next week to 2 weeks, I don't think they're going to miss any games.
Well, I mean, they opened up camp in literally the worst that Canada's experienced.
Yeah.
Right? Like Christmas, I know for us, like the 2 weeks before Christmas was the worst that we had. And then they shut it down pretty much across Canada.
Yeah.
And so you're right from that regard, right? If they've been able to pull that off, and most of the guys, like travel was the biggest issue with players ended up on the COVID protocol list at the start. So,
yeah, I think, man, like now it looks like this second wave is kind of coming to an end. The vaccine program's supposed to start ramping up. Again, we're not going to get into the specifics of that. I think if they can make it another 1 to 2 weeks, they'll be good.
I do. My only issue is that it just takes one person.
I know.
That's the problem, right? It just takes one, and like not even one person being reckless, right? It just takes one unlucky situation.
Yeah.
It could take an entire team being reckless, but hey.
Well, all the positivity out there.
Did you hear this scenario? I don't know how much weight there is behind it, and this will be our COVID corner for the week. Did you hear this idea that the NHL has? I mean, they aren't releasing information to the public of who has and has not had COVID, but like the teams know, and their idea, because at least what's believed is that you have 3 months of like a highly increased likelihood of not retracting COVID, right?
Yes.
And so their thought, and also that then means also the transmission likelihood would be lower, is that they would alternate players in the locker room. So in the dressing room, they would put like player that's had COVID in between two players that haven't had COVID as like a buffer between them.
That's hilarious. I don't know if the science checks out on that. It doesn't sound like it should, but
I think it does. it just seems like that's really what you're gonna do. Like you're really just gonna be like, well, this guy's had it, so he can like. It's the reverse of when we were all kids, and like I don't know about you, but like you had the situation where like someone's got chicken pox and everyone's going to visit the kid with chicken pox.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it seems like the opposite of that. Of like, hey, that guy hasn't had COVID. Yeah, you can hang out with him. You can hang out with the guy who's had COVID. Everyone else who hasn't, just stay separate.
It's an interesting strategy.
It doesn't seem like one that would hold a lot of weight in like a player wellness situation.
No,
like,
it doesn't.
Like, how did that guy get COVID? Oh yeah, at work. So, wild. But hey, we got a bunch of teams back right now, so that's
yes,
great,
we do.
right?
I don't think anyone's postponed at the moment, are they?
Flyers are still postponed. Buffalo came back today. Colorado came back. Minnesota, I believe, is still postponed. I could be mistaken on that. I don't see the next day. And New Jersey, but they had like 12 guys come off the COVID protocol list. So Minnesota comes back playing tomorrow. Buffalo's back, I believe, tonight. And so it looks like just New Jersey's waiting the full and clear. Philadelphia had a practice canceled, again, out of an abundance of caution today, but they're still scheduled to be back. So by the end of this week, we should have every team back playing, which is great. All right, let's take a break here. We'll be back on the other side with the Elimination Station and Nick's Lidstrom.
Elimination Station.
Welcome back. It is time for the Elimination Station, where we eliminate a team from the playoffs. Just recap, we have so far eliminated a team from 3 of the divisions. Last week, we eliminated the Los Angeles Kings. In the weeks before, Detroit and Ottawa were gone, which means the East Division is the only one without a team eliminated from the playoffs. Which begs the question, is there a team in that division worthy of elimination already?
Yeah, there's 2, I think. And actually, you know what? I think there's one clear winner here.
Okay.
You tell me what you think. Do you think there's one clear?
I mean, I think that there's two bottom teams. It is tough because the 2 teams in question have just been not playing for a significant portion of the season.
Do you think that there is a team less likely to make the playoffs than the Buffalo Sabres?
I think the Devils are pretty close.
Me too.
Okay.
I think it's the Devils.
Now, that said, on a point per game basis, the New York Rangers are worse than both of them.
Currently.
Yes, currently that is the case, but
I don't buy it on paper.
And the fact that like the Devils are going to have just a crazy schedule, like a very compact schedule the rest of the way, and it's going to be tough on them an already struggling team is going to have to play a lot of games.
And they really don't have any like elite talent at any position in their prime.
So let's do it. Welcome to the Elimination Station, New Jersey.
The New Jersey Devils.
So that's what we do now is what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this team? You said that there's no elite talent at any position. They did pick Jack Hughes.
Prime.
In their prime, right. Jack Hughes, is he still something you're excited about? Is he still a player that you're like, think they can be a top talent on this team?
Yeah, he's too young to write off. I mean, he's 19. He's almost producing at a point per game pace right now at 19.
They've only played 9 games. Joe Pavelski is 47 years old and is at a 2 point per game pace.
Yeah. And Jack Hughes only has 2 points on the power play.
So he has Jack Hughes with that number. You were correct. Jack Hughes and Joe Pavelski have the same number of even strength points. And Hughes has done it in less games. That's what you want to see.
That's what you want to see at 19 years old. Yeah, I think he's going to be a great NHL player. And he's doing this all, by the way, on a very bad New Jersey Devils team. Who are this guy's line mates? He's a center. I'm assuming Miles Wood, who somehow is leading this team in goals. Probably because Jack Hughes is his centerman. And Nathan Bastian? Andreas Johnson? Who's the top line on this team?
According to Daily Faceoff, the top line on the New Jersey Devils consists of, I didn't filibuster enough. It's like when you're trying to hit that. Andreas Johnson and Jesper Bratt are the first line there.
With Jack Hughes?
With Jack Hughes, yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Well, there it is.
So he's tied for the lead in points on this team, on that line.
Correct. Yes.
He just needs time. He'll be fine.
All right. So he's going to be good. The rest of this team, there's some pieces, right? PK Subban on defense. Another year left. Is there anything that you think, what's the market for a PK Subban right now?
There's always a market for PK Subban and his entire contract. That's one thing we've learned since he signed it. $9 million. He's probably still worth that for another year on a good team.
Yeah, I would say
that's an easy contract to swallow for a single season.
Yeah, I mean, and the Devils are in a place where they can eat a lot of that, right? Because you can eat up to half, so they can eat half that deal and really save whatever team they're going to a lot of cap space.
Yes, absolutely.
And PK on a $4.5 million deal for 1 year. Who'd you rather have, PK Subban for 4.5 or John Marino for 4.4?
PK Subban.
Yeah, as much as PK's not there, $4.5 million PK is fine.
100%. And where is Mr. Nico? Is he hurt?
He's hurt right now. Yeah. I mean, and I believe it's going to be a little bit longer till he's back.
Because he's going to be a player too.
Yeah. I mean, not as good as Jack Hughes is, but he'll be fine.
I agree. You know what worries me about this team though is they've got those two guys. I don't see a ton else. This isn't a just waited out kind of situation,
right,
for the New Jersey Devils.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like they have a ton of soon-to-be elite talent waiting in the minors, just waiting to make the jump in the next year or two.
Correct.
They either have to continue to draft very high, but that's going to take multiple years to get to be competitive, mm-hmm. or they make some bold trades and they use their high draft capital to bring in some good talent and support these young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Or they try and bring in some guys via free agency.
Right. And I think, picks is the safest way to make that happen, right? To move some of these guys out, acquire some draft capital. Because this year, right? If you look at what they have this year for the draft, they're already missing their own second rounder. They acquired another one last year from the Islanders. They lost their second in trading for the rights to Nikita Gusev, which not really panned out the way that they hoped.
No.
They've gotten a third, but literally they've added one draft pick to this year's draft. And when you're a team as bad as the New Jersey Devils, you need to have more than that.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if the draft is the right way to go. I mean, the last 4 years they've picked number one twice in the last 4 years. Is that true?
Sounds about right. Yep.
Something like that. 2 years or 3 years, maybe. I don't know. You have those 2 first overall picks. I would see if you can make some moves and bring in some big fish free agents. How much longer can this team wait? How long has it been already?
Well, it's been too long. You're right. They do need to make something. I think you. So what would you be doing? Like making some trades for folks? Going through free agency?
Go out and get a goalie. First of all, go out and get a goalie that your team can be confident in.
That's an interesting thought, because with the expansion draft this year, there will be some teams that are going to have to be exposing a goalie that they maybe don't want to, right? And the current thought is, and it's not a long-term solution for New Jersey, but the current thought is that like Anton Khudobin will be one of the goalies selected by Seattle. Well, you could also just get Anton Khudobin in New Jersey and give Dallas something for him, right? One of those scenarios, I think, is what New Jersey could be looking at through trade.
That is a great idea. Capitalize on the questions around the expansion draft. But if you can bring in a goalie that this team can be confident in, that helps this current roster, but it also helps when you go out and get free agents. It helps you bring in free agents because they can look at the goalie obviously they look at the whole team, but the goalie is a big part of winning.
Yes.
So, I don't know. Go out, get a goalie, and then see if you can make some trades. They're not doing bad from a salary cap perspective.
No, they've got lots of cap space coming up here.
They've got a lot of cap
flexibility. Space. Yeah. And some guys that they can move out at deadline, right? Gusev, Palmieri, Ryan Murray's coming up to end his deal, and if they're not sticking around, get rid of them. So, all right, there we go. New Jersey Devils, welcome to the Elimination Station. Let's also look at last week. Our Nick's Lidstrom was the Toronto Maple Leafs. They went out and they played 2 games against the Montreal Canadiens, winning one 4-2, losing the other one 2-1, and are currently up 5-2 on the Ottawa Senators. So, certainly a good week for the Leafs.
They're an exciting team to watch. They were exciting to watch this week, too. I mean, that one game against the Habs, they were outplayed a little bit. But Matthews and Marner are looking like at the top of their game right now, especially Austin Matthews.
Austin Matthews is going to win the Rocket Richard this year, correct?
He should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a real good one.
Yeah.
And if it's not him, it's probably Alex Galchenyuk, let's be honest.
Honestly, put Galchenyuk on Matthews' line. Boom. Fixed.
If you want to flip him, sure.
Fixed. You fixed his problem.
Look, I'm not one to try to tank my like superstar who's having their best year yet by shoving a reclamation project on their wing. Like I don't think that's the best strategy here. But hey, that's why I'm not a general manager or a coach.
Austin Matthews should also be in the Hart conversation.
I feel like everyone who wins the Rocket Richard is in the Hart conversation, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. So, I don't know. He's good. But Mitch Marner's looking really good this year. William Nylander's looking really good this year. These are guys that held out to get really good deals. And then the first year of those deals, they were looking like, maybe they're not going to be worth this entire deal. But they're both looking really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Even we talked about the Leafs going and getting a little bigger and bulkier. Wayne Simmons, before he got hurt, he was on a heater.
Yeah, he was doing well. So
Joe Thornton's look good. Jason Spezza's look good.
So let's look at some 2 truths and a lie for this team. I'm going to give you 3 statements about this Toronto Maple Leafs team.
Okay.
You are going to decide which ones are true
Okay.
and which ones are lies.
Okay, but there's going to be 2 of them are going to be true and one's going to be a lie.
2 truths, 1 lie.
Okay.
Statement number 1. John Tavares is 7th on this team in hits.
Okay.
Statement number 2. Michael Nylander is 7th on this team in shots.
You mean William Nylander?
Yes, William Nylander is 7th
Not
on
his
this
dad?
team. Correct.
Okay.
That would be something.
Yeah.
7th on this team in
I
shots.
gotta write these down. Okay.
And next up, Mitch Marner is 1st on this team in power play points. No, wait. I'm really bad at this game.
Oh my
Anyways.
goodness.
2 truths and a lie. Which one is the...
I don't even know what the Marner statement is yet.
The Marner statement was Mitch Marner is 2nd on this team in power play points.
Okay. 2nd. Okay, so we've got Tavares is 7th in hits, Nylander is 7th in shots, Marner is 2nd in power play.
I wanted to do 7s for all 3, and then I messed up the last one. That was what I was wanting to do there.
Okay. That's okay. I think the 3rd one is a lie.
Can I now that we've done this, can I change the last one?
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know. This was bad. I'm just bad at this. You were correct, Nick. I'll just give it to you. Just because I'm bad at doing this, you're better at it than me. Yes. Where do you? Mitch Marner is 1st on this team in power play points.
Even if you change the last one, it doesn't change the fact that the other 2 are true.
I know. That's why it was bad. I didn't even. Okay. Yes. John Tavares, a little more physical than we've seen from him in previous years so far. William Nylander. Producing, right? And I think, as you mentioned, right, a lot of people were critical of him last year, especially like the coming out of his holdout and not producing. But with what he has as a cap hit right now for this team, absolutely doing plenty.
Looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I mean, Freddie Anderson is what he is. The defense is looking pretty good, right? The TJ Brody edition, like that for what he brings to this team. We talked in the offseason. He is what they thought they would get with Tyson Barrie, or what they should have got with Tyson Barrie, and that's 1,000% true.
By the way, Tyson Barrie is looking pretty good with Edmonton right now.
Because he is what Tyson Barrie should be with Edmonton right now.
Yep.
So win for both teams to get rid of them. All right. That's Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's pick a new Nick Lidstrom for this week. So again, if we look at what we've picked a team in each division, except for the East again. Apparently we really neglected the Eastern Division.
Didn't we pick Philadelphia? We had to watch Philadelphia and Boston twice.
That's right. We did. I just didn't write it down. All right, there you go. So we picked one from each division. So of the teams we haven't picked yet, which one's got you the most that you think are the biggest lock?
Oh, Tampa Bay.
Tampa?
Yeah, Tampa probably should have been the first one, and you talked me out of it.
I think, did we not do them because they weren't playing some games that week?
They only had 1 or 2 games that week.
Well, good news. Tampa has more than that this week. This week, Tampa is playing, they have 2 games this week as well. They're playing the Dallas Stars twice, Thursday, Saturday. They are playing Florida tonight. They're currently beating the Panthers 5-4. And then they actually have a rare 2 days off, which is going to be, so we're getting a fresh and rested Tampa Bay Lightning team for Dallas on the weekend.
And we'll get to study Joe Pavelski a little closer.
Right. This is a default. I mean, we've already had Dallas as the team once. So now we get them again, and we'll be able to see what is it about Joe Pavelski that's so good. And
we already answered that.
He sits in front of the power play.
Yeah.
Well, great. Now we'll confirm it with our eyes.
Yes.
We should probably wrap up the show, shouldn't
we? If we're just staring at each other in silence, I think it's time to wrap up.
All right. Thank you for tuning in this week. You can find us on Twitter. You can play high-low sticking, where for each game that Tampa plays this week, you'll be picking if you think the goal total will be over or under the lines. I'm thinking we'll probably have some pretty high lines this week for that game. Probably some 6s, 6.5s. It's always good to have high-scoring games. Those are fun to watch. Play that on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. Head to thefourthlinepodcast.com where you can find out more about the show. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find us on the Full Press Radio app. And until next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. Carl can't lie. He is very bad. And if the North goes COVID-free, that would be pretty rad.